I'm not being an activist, but what do you say to your critics?
Again, you're being an activist. I am
not. That's not appropriate, sir.
Who are you with? What's your name?
That's not an appropriate question for you to ask.
You're going to ask how many questions? You get 3?
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Good morning, Liberty lovers, Liberty curious, and anyone else tuning in to Friendly Fire. If you're watching live, then let me especially thank you for tuning in so early. This show is dedicated to interviewing Libertarian candidates running for office and only Libertarian candidates. As the name suggests, candidates will be asked some tough questions, but as a fellow Libertarian, I'm not here to make them look foolish or fail. I'm simply raising the bar for interviewing candidates as well as the expectation that we have for our candidates. Libertarian Party is the third largest political party in the United States and the only viable option to compete with the big two. You may have noticed a disruption in the show intro audio. My YouTube channel was hit with a copyright violation. Boo. I disputed the matter, providing the source of the audio, and the owner released the claim but reached out to provide details regarding the proper process for using the audio. That process requires me to download the audio from the original source for each episode. Doing so creates a digital ID that's used to verify the license. The process is onerous and unacceptable to me, so for now, no audio until I resolve the matter. I do appreciate your patience, and now back to our regularly scheduled program. In this episode, I bring on Cody McNutt, who is the Libertarian candidate for U.S. House Delaware at-large district. Since Delaware has only one allotted House seat, it is called at-large as it represents the entire state rather than a portion. Let's go ahead and bring Cody in. Cody, good morning. How are you?
Tired. How are you doing?
Tired as well. I woke up a little bit extra early this morning for no particular good reason and then had trouble getting back to sleep. But here we are. The show must go on. All right. Let me switch this over here. All right. So let's dive right into this. Tell me a little bit about you and why you're running.
Well, my name's Cody McNutt. I'm running for U.S. Congress in Delaware. I'm running because I think that the Democrats are the problem and the Republicans are not a viable solution. They just sit there and obstruct the Democrats rather than being a true opposition party.
All right. Awesome. So this isn't your first rodeo. Back in 2018, you ran for Delaware House of Representatives District 8, correct?
Correct.
All right. So I'm curious why why run for a national position rather than take what you've learned and then run again 2 years later?
Well, the real answer or the curated answer?
Whichever one you feel that voters should know.
Well, the real answer is because I moved and the threshold was too tight for me to run in my district.
Gotcha. Okay. And that makes sense. We had candidates here in Jacksonville who were concerned about some redistricting, and so they didn't move, but we had redistricting, which was, can present a similar problem.
Yeah. You have to live within a year within your district, and I moved to like 8 months or something like that.
Okay, got it. And the reason I was asking is because a lot of times what people will tell you if you're running is that like the first time you're getting your name out there and the second time is when you really run, right? Because now you're capitalizing off your prior work and people have, they have a little bit of name recognition with you. Mm-hmm. So I was just curious why you might make that leap, but that's okay. What did you learn from that run that prepared you to run this time?
Well, one thing I learned is that buying door hangers was a waste of money. Okay. And what was it? I'm not really going to be able to get into all of the formal debates and whatnot. Actually, I did technically get an invite to the debate in 2018, but I got it in the mail the day of, and I was already scheduled for work, so I wasn't able to attend. This time, they just told me I was straight up not invited.
Well, I'm not sure which one I would prefer, to be honest with you. Last minute invite that's not real, kind of like a non-invite at the last minute. I've had a few of those before where someone invites you at the last minute and you're like, I can't make it. And I think think you're just inviting me so you can say you did.
Mm-hmm.
But then, it's kind of like when the news reporters reach out and, 20 minutes before they publish the article, and then they're like, well, I reached out to them and they didn't respond. It's like, wow, that doesn't sound disingenuous at all. But so at the very beginning here, you said that the Democrats, you said the Democrats are the problem. And when I was doing my research, I realized, and I didn't know this, Delaware is rather blue. Your senators to Congress are Democrat. The incumbent in your race is a Democrat. And your state legislature is a majority Democrat with 26 Democrats and 19 Republicans. Past candidates that I've interviewed have generally faced heavy Republican opposition. So my question is, how has your focus been on getting the Democrat votes or taking what's not Democrat, like Republican and independent votes?
My focus has been more on running a general platform, not something that's like trying to like draw Republicans or draw Democrats. I've been talking to a lot of people. They're not happy with the Democrat incumbents. So I am trying to draw them in because they're not going to vote for the Republicans. And I'm also trying to, of course, draw in some Republican votes because I think I'm a better candidate than him.
Is there a particular strategy that you've used for that? Obviously not door hangers.
Yeah.
So what's your strategy now to reach out in such a manner so that it's broad to everyone?
Look, best I found is just talking to people. So I've been talking to as many people as I can in person, which is of course not as many as it can be, but getting these speaking events is the best thing I can do. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from everything I've done so far.
What sort of speaking events have you attended?
I actually did end up getting into one of the big candidate forums in Delaware. That was the first one I did. I was actually surprised by my speaking role there. Like I was looking at the qualifications. I assumed I wouldn't be allowed to speak, showed up under that impression. I was allowed to have a booth there. And then I saw my name up on the panel and I was like, I went up to the organizers. I was like, am I speaking up there? And they're like, yeah, in our poll, you did 5%. So you're allowed up there. And I'm like, okay, I have to make a speech in 5 minutes.
How did that turn out?
I started out a little nervous, but I got comfortable pretty quick.
Good. And you said you polled at 5%, which met their threshold?
Yes.
And that's pretty surprising. Yeah. Because it seems like every poll that I've seen where libertarians are either excluded or barely named or what have you,
3% is what I normally get.
Gotcha. It just seems like it seems like the threshold tends to be higher. Or if it's not that, then there's a myriad of other things that end up keeping our candidates out.
Threshold for the formal debate was 10%, and I called them directly, and they're like, "No, you polled at 3% in our poll."
Wow, so that's unfortunate. Back in 2020, there were 4 candidates for this seat. You had a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, and an Independent. This year, there are 6. It's Democrat and Republican, obviously. Libertarian, that's you. Nonpartisan party, and then 2 write-in independents. But there's something curious. The Libertarian back in 2020 for this seat is now running on the nonpartisan party ticket. Are you concerned that a former Libertarian candidate and maybe even the 2 independent write-ins will greatly impact your election outcome?
Well, one of the write-in candidates, Scott Walker, is obviously going to pull some of my joke votes. He's a little famous around here for being a nut job. But the former Libertarian in the nonpartisan party, to not get into internal state politics, I'm not very concerned. Okay. He might have a better ground game than me. He's got some of the old infrastructure, but it just doesn't have the party notoriety that the Libertarian Party does.
Got it. Okay. And so then since that's the case, then you don't really need a plan to try to capture the Libertarian vote against someone else who's a former Libertarian candidate then.
No.
Okay. And what's the reception in the Libertarian community? I know we can be a bit ornery.
Well, I know the higher ups.
For you, I mean.
Oh, for me, They're allowed to be there.
I don't think I understand.
I'm guessing I'm going to have to ask you to clarify the question then.
I was asking, what's the reception been for you within the Libertarian Party? Like, are the members there receiving you pretty well?
Oh, no, they like me, yeah.
Okay. Because I know that we can be ornery sometimes, right? I mean, you just open up Twitter and any given day, and there is some libertarian that's taking a lot of heat from other libertarians. Sometimes they're candidates, sometimes they're not.
Oh, yeah. It took a while for our county chair to start, fully trusting me again, because I was the one there defending the people that they didn't like. Because, of course, someone's got to. Right.
I mean, that's a good thing, right? I mean, and I think this is a good thing for voters as well, is to see that, hey, you know, this person will stick up for who they believe needs to be defended. And one day, maybe that person will be me. So I think that's actually a good thing. You know, I want to talk about your website. Your website is probably the most direct campaign site that I've seen so far. You list your platform, some contact information, and a donate button. That's it. So I want to pull up, and I think it's, I've been to some other campaign sites, not necessarily libertarian ones, and there's lots to click on, and I'm like, I don't know if I want it. And there's lots of reading to do, and I'm like, I don't know. It seems like too much. But let's go ahead and pull yours up real quick, and let's take a look. So here we go. This is your platform. It's really simple. Let me try to zoom in on it so that we can make it just a little bit bigger. I think that will work. I think we can go a little bigger than that. Let's try that. All right, there we go. That works. So it looks like you have 5 items on here. So we'll skip the pro-choice and pro-abortion for later when we get into the bill review.
Okay.
But I kind of want to get an idea, a sense from you. What about these what are the needs in Delaware? I mean, some of these I kind of understand already, like COVID-19. I kind of get that. I understand the vindication of the Second Amendment. So I do understand these, but like, I don't know anything about the economy in Delaware. And I'm familiar, obviously, with the non-intervention policy, but let's kind of walk through them and just kind of say, like, hey, why are these the ones that you chose as part of your platform running for Congress for Delaware?
Okay. Well, the Delaware economy we used to have DuPont here. We used to have Chrysler plant here. Those were the big jobs in Delaware. That's where everybody's dad worked. DuPont sold to Dow. They're pretty much gone. And Chrysler sold 15 years ago. And that's just like some solar plant that I don't think is around anymore. So I don't think that lot's completely empty. We don't have any of these manufacturing jobs anymore. They've all been exported. We are an all service economy, and that has served to make the entire younger population poorer as a result.
And so what, in your platform, what would you do or be seeking to do for the economy?
Really, I think it was just the incentives were there to push it overseas. I think we need to bring those incentives back to have your business in the United States.
And would these be like tax incentives, or what type of incentives?
There's one specifically I like to bring up. If you're a first generation immigrant, you get a full tax break for 10 years if you start your business. I think that needs to be extended to all Americans.
Okay. I like it. That sounds good. And then let's take a look at some of these other ones. Non-intervention policy. I think, if I remember correctly, yes, that's the military one. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but let's talk about it in terms of Delaware.
I really just thought that was a universal one that I needed to put up there. It's not really a Delaware specific one.
Gotcha. And that would, I assume that's kind of similar for the COVID-19 as well.
Of course, yeah. We had our issues with the COVID-19 authoritarianism here. Of course, that extends to all medical authoritarianism now that the COVID-19 has kind of gone by the wayside, and monkeypox never took off like they thought it would.
Right.
But we were one of the not the worst states, but we were one of the big, like, you have to be masked up the whole time in all establishments. Even the University of Delaware, their football games, you had to come in with your QR code, checking.
Oh, wow.
In. Yeah. when I went up to go to like the first quarter of a game with my dad, and they were like, "Yeah, you got your check mark." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they were like, "You have to do that." I'm like, "I'm not interested. Sorry, thank you. Just gonna be here for half an hour. It's not worth it."
So did they make you leave, or did you just, or did they?
I left on my own accord.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Wow. Yeah, I assume that it seems to me that there was a kind of divide. You had like the Republican-led states who most of them did mask up. I think there's one or two like out in the Midwest that kind of said, nope, we're not doing that.
Famously South Dakota.
Right. But then most of them masked up a little bit, or at least in part, and then started withdrawing sooner than some of the blue states. That's what our governor is running heavily on. And we like to remind him that, hey, no, you locked people down too, and you had some of your own failings. So let's not dance too much here.
What was it? Things that people like to forget as of late. The Republicans were right on board with locking everyone down.
Right. Well, as I tell people, we deployed our National Guard to our northern border and then our border along over on the in the Panhandle there, because we didn't want people coming from other states who had particularly we were looking at New York, and so we were checking IDs to make sure that New Yorkers weren't fleeing here because New York was blowing up. So we had our own heavy hand down here. It just happens that Ron DeSantis removed some of those restrictions a little bit sooner than others. However, as our governor candidate for the Libertarian Party likes to tell people, over 400 days, we had an emergency order in place. So we had our own failings there. And then let's talk about the Second Amendment. Where does Delaware sit on gun rights?
Well, until recently, we were one of the best states for gun rights, and now we are one of the worst.
Oh, wow. How did that happen?
There was after, I forget which shooting it was, but they just quickly shoved through a bill and a law that banned pretty much everything. And that went through. I was talking to a couple with the Delaware State Sportsman Association. They're filing lawsuits. They were like, our lawyers are saying this is pretty much a layup. This thing's going to get repealed in 2 years. They're just putting it through to get the points for it. But it's like semi-automatics are pretty much banned across the board. Like I was talking to one of the guys at the gun shop I used to go to, and they're like, yeah, we're pretty much just going to be selling shotguns and 5-round bolt-action rifles until we get this figured out.
Wow, that's unfortunate. We're doing okay here in Florida. We have some red flag laws, so that's not okay. And when I say okay, I just mean comparatively to, like, say, your state and other states. And then we also have we do not have constitutional carry, so we're still waiting on Republicans to get around to that. I presume you guys don't have constitutional carry either.
Absolutely not. We have open carry though.
Okay, is it like specific to an event or something?
Nope. It is just open carry.
Oh, wow. Here in Florida, you can open carry if you are on your way to hunt or fish. That is it. That is the only time that you can.
You can open carry statewide in Delaware, but you can't have the gun to do it with, though.
Okay. I'm a little okay. I'm not sure how that works.
Oh no! That was more of a joke than like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the humor out of that. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, out of these topics, and I assume that these are the things that you try to talk about the most when you're out and about, you're knocking doors, you're going to events. Which one has been the most well received when you talk to people?
Domestic economy. Everyone likes to hear about it.
And what do people tell you?
Like, it's more of like they absolutely agree. And I like to, when I'm going out and I'm talking to people, I like to let them steer the conversation. Like, I don't want to sit there and talk for 20 minutes about a policy I care about, and then they just get bored and leave. I let them ask me what they actually care about, and I tend to comment on that.
Got it. And what's the worst received topic that you have on this list?
I don't really have on this list. I don't have a badly received one.
Okay, good. Do you have a favorite?
The domestic economy is the first one that I really came up with, and I was running with that for a while before I came up with the other ones.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, let me take that off the screen here because I want to get into the bill review. So you sent, whoops. There we go. Bring you back up. So I want to get into the bill review. For now, I think my segue for the bill review still is legit. So I'm going to segue, and then I'll bring you right back. Let me do that. Where are you here?
But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
All right. So what I like to do is ask the candidates that are coming on to send me a bill, maybe even two. In this case, we have two bills. They're companion bills. And what we do, we don't necessarily read the whole bill. Some of these bills are very lengthy, but what we do is we talk about the bill. The reason I do that, I want to normalize the idea that we as Americans look at our bills, at least in part. And the reason for that is the more that the more that we get accustomed to reading these bills, the more that we will start insisting on certain things from these bills, such as smaller bills. Right now, it's easy to find a bill that's several hundred pages long, 1,000 pages long, even longer. Bills should not be that long. And so when we have it normalized, then the politicians that are working for us, they know that we're watching, that we're reading, we're checking them out. Not only that, this is an accountability issue. Our members of Congress frequently do not read bills. They have admitted it, or in some cases, they have spoken about bills in ways that let you know they did not read it. That is absolutely unacceptable. So what we do here is we talk about a bill, and we've got two bills that are up on the docket here. So let me bring Cody back in, and we're going to discuss these two bills. All right, good sir. We are back, and you have chosen HR. These are congressional bills, by the way. HR 8814 and Senate bill, its companion, 4840. Both of them are protecting pain-capable unborn children, from Late-Term Abortions Act. Here's the summary real quick for anybody that's listening in and watching. The bill establishes a new criminal offense for performing or attempting to perform an abortion if the probable gestational age of the fetus is 15 weeks or more. A violator is subject to criminal penalties, a fine, prison term up to 5 years, or both. This bill provides exceptions for an abortion that is, 1, necessary to save the life of a pregnant woman, and 2, when the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest. And then a physician who performs or attempts to perform an abortion under an exception must comply with specified requirements. A woman who undergoes a prohibited abortion may not be prosecuted for violating or conspiring to violate the provisions of this bill. So, Cody, why did you choose this particular bill or these bills?
Yeah, this is pretty much a layup reason of why I say the Republicans are not the solution. They will talk all day about how they're about states' rights and small government, and then they'll come out with this stuff where they like, we got Roe v. Wade, it goes back to the states, and then we're like, by the way, we're just going to ban abortion across the board, national level. I'm like, cool, you can't claim that. You can't do that. This is textbook federal overreach. It's not their job to be legislating about this.
Okay. And so you chose these ones as a matter of saying this is how you do it?
This is
or you
exactly
these?
what Republicans are going to sit there and do. They'll talk all day about this stuff, and then they're just hypocrites.
And so do you oppose these two bills, or do you support them?
Yes, I oppose these two bills.
Okay, gotcha. I was misunderstanding there. Okay, so you oppose these two particular bills because you still look at it as federal overreach.
Yes.
Okay, and would you? And I know that the position that you are running for is actually a congressional position, but as a person, would you support a similar bill at a state level?
No.
Nope.
The only argument I've ever heard on this issue that has actually worked on me was that no other medical circumstance are you required to give up your own body for the sake of another, and that carries over to this.
Okay.
All other arguments are just like people being entrenched in their own opinions, and it just convinces no one.
Right. Okay. And then on your website, and I kind of ignored it on purpose so that we could talk about it during this segment of the show. One of the things that you point out, you say, it's the very last sentence, and I don't have it up at the moment, but it says all of the money and energy we put into this debate that convinces no one to change their mind should be put toward researching technology that would allow evicting an unwanted child from the womb without killing it. So what I want to do is I want to pretend like I don't know what you mean when you say evicting, because normally when we say evicting, like my wife is in real estate, that's removing somebody from a home. And it's kind of an entirely different situation. So describe to me, if I was, somebody that just came up to you and I said, Cody, what are you talking about evicting? What does that even mean? Describe that for me.
Got a little criticism on that word particularly. I did mean to change that before this show. I just didn't get around to it. Pretty much just removing the child from the womb without killing it. Just pretty much, instead of doing an abortion, just removing the child, putting it in like a incubator or something like that, and having it brought to term outside of the womb.
Got it. And so effectively, it's just saying this child does not, I'm trying to think of my words, how I want to say it, is not necessarily permitted to be here. However, the person that's removing the child is not permitted to take the child's life.
That would be the optimal, fair world, best case scenario.
Okay. And if you were, when you said you meant to remove it, what would you have replaced that word, or what would you have kind of roughly changed the language to say?
Part of the reason that I didn't get around to it is that I couldn't think of a sentence that would replace that.
Okay. Is it just the word and you don't want to have to deal with, kind of this full on explanation?
It doesn't sound good. The word doesn't sound good.
Gotcha. Okay. That's fair. All right. And so it says on here, and just, let me put it back up on the screen here, actually, so that people can see what it says here. It's not a whole lot. In fact, all of your policy positions are actually very short, very readable. So, I feel I encourage people to check this website out and, reach out and ask some questions. So CodyRMcNutt.com. But it says there's a big difference between being pro-choice and pro-abortion, though I believe that abortion is always wrong. There's no other medical circumstances where one is required to sacrifice one's own body for the sake of another. And I cannot justify supporting an abortion ban. So that's the foundation of your position on this particular matter.
Yes.
All right. And is there anything else that I'm missing about this bill? Because honestly, when I'm looking at the bill, this sounds like it would be very appealing to Republicans. They might want more, but also maybe Democrats as well. Or am I mistaken?
Of course, it would appeal to Republicans. That's been their platform since the 70s. But Democrats, I think, are moving away from having a conservative side and being more of the leftist party. So I don't think that they would support it as much. Maybe some of the older ones would.
Okay.
At least none of the ones I've ever spoken to.
Okay, fair enough. And maybe I'm misreading the lay of the land here, because I know that there are many Democrats that would want, they wouldn't even accept these kind of restrictions. But it seems to me that if they're facing some of the more extreme Republican views and laws, which we've seen come out, that this would be the one where they'd say, okay, you know what? We don't like some of your other half-baked ideas, so let's go ahead and settle on this one.
Are we talking about the bill still, or we're talking about my policy position?
No, the bill. I'm just saying, because I'm thinking that that in the face of Republicans pushing harsher restrictions, that Democrats might be willing to accept something like this bill.
They have not been known to be compromising as of late, since they've seized all the chambers of the government. But if they were to lose power, they might be willing to compromise. I don't see that as a good thing of anybody compromising on this particular issue.
Okay. So you go to you go to Congress. You're going to vote no on which one is it? HR 8814.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now people know where you stand on this particular bill. What else? I did some research, and sometimes it's just there's not a whole lot. What else am I missing? What else do we need to talk about? Because I don't want to end too short if we don't have to. But
I don't. But like, this is a pretty straightforward bill. Everyone's been very vocal about what they want out of this.
Mhm.
I do think it is like a political stunt for the election season. I don't see this bill going through Congress and getting signed at all.
Okay. And is there anything else related to your campaign that we should discuss?
That is all I have prepared.
Okay. Because I went, I tried to do my research. I tried to check out and see what's going on. And
yeah, I can tell you did your homework.
And it seems like you're a pretty straightforward guy. Like, and there's not a whole lot here to question you about. You've got 5 items that are on your list of on your platform. I went to one of your opponents, and they had like 12 or 14 or something like that. They had a whole long list of them. We're not going to go into them because I'm not here to present the other side per se. But and then I started looking in, just checked it out, your history, and checked out the lay of the land up there in Delaware, because I'm not terribly familiar with it. Very blue. That was, I don't want to say it was surprising, but it was surprising in the sense that I had been interviewing candidates where the Republicans is their major challenger, right? That's their major opponent in most cases. And so when I got here, I was like, wow, it seems like the Republicans are actually very, very much in the minority, not nearly as much as libertarians, but comparative to Democrats, it seems that they are.
Yeah, that's what it was. That I was listening to some of your other interviews with the other candidates, and it was like jarring to hear them talk about the Republicans as the majority party.
Right.
Like, take myself out of my little bubble here.
I mean, let's see. Do I have it up? I don't have it up anymore. I thought I had it, but I guess I don't. There was when I was doing the research and I was looking at the numbers. I believe the last election for this seat, the Democrats took like 60% or something like that, and the Republicans took like 30.
Yeah, 35 is what they poll every single election.
That's pretty wild, because I don't know. I guess I'm used to living in red states, so it's a little different for me. So it's kind of jarring for me as well, because I'm like, wow, what's that like? In fact, let me ask you, what is it like to be a libertarian or even a libertarian candidate in Delaware? And let me lay out what I mean by this question. One of the things that we hear about in the Libertarian Party is that we had a changeover in leadership, and some of the folks that are either have left the party or are kind of cantankerously still in the party. They are often accused of being a little bit more left leaning, but they also accuse like the newer crowd as being more right leaning. So what is the feel, the vibe for the Libertarian Party in Delaware, since it does have a stronger blue foundation? Maybe not foundation, but there is a strong blue presence there. What is it like to be a libertarian? Is it, comparative to what maybe you've heard or something like that?
We actually had a mini version of what happened at National in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
So we had like the whole party shakeup. The new people came in, the old people went out. There was a whole mess about it for a while. I tried to ignore it, but it became too much to ignore. I would say that the older party was, I wouldn't necessarily say left leaning, but they were more wanting to appeal to the establishment,
okay,
than the new guys do.
And did that give them any kind of any noticeable benefit when it came to like elections, running candidates, policy? To your knowledge, did that benefit them whatsoever?
Well, in Delaware,
at least in Delaware,
we were famous for running paper candidates, and I am the first one that's attempting to change that.
Okay. And you feel like you're getting a good reception when you go out and you talk to people?
Yes.
Okay. I know that we don't like using the more left, more right, because libertarians aren't really we're not really left, we're not really right.
We're on the platform.
But in terms of making it easier for people to understand, sometimes I kind of got to go with language at least that people will get. So pardon me on that. But so you haven't noticed any kind of negative response to this, I don't want to say new party, but like to the new vibe that's with the Libertarian Party in Delaware?
Well, people outside of the party don't necessarily know about the internal politics, so they're not going to respond to anything that we do internally at all.
Right. But if there's a change, if you've got people that were more sympathetic to the establishment and now you have people that are less sympathetic to the establishment, then I assume that changes the tone from the party itself and the tone from, the candidates and people that are kind of facing outward to the public. And so I'm just asking if there has been any kind of change in how people perceive the party based on that so far.
Well, this is the first year that that the new guys in charge are doing what they're doing. So we're still trying to build our new public image.
Gotcha. So it's a little early yet.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Like I said, I'll give them a couple elections. If they do good, then we'll keep them around. If they do bad, we'll vote them out.
I mean, that's how it goes, right? Like you stay as long as you're producing good results. And if you're not producing good results, then, well, you got to go. We got to put somebody in that can can deliver. So, all right. Well, Cody, I don't have anything more. If you don't have anything more, we can go ahead and wrap this up and give you some time back. It's very early. You might want to hop back in bed. I know I do, but I have a toddler, so that is clearly not going to happen. And both of us probably have work. So also another reason why it's not going to happen. But I want to thank you for being on. It has been a pleasure. Any final words on how people can find you, how they can help you, all that stuff?
Well, of course, you can check out my platform at codyrmcnutt.com. And you can check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Cody R. McNutt on all three. And of course, I have an email, codyrmcnutt@legislator.com. That is the worst way to get a hold of me, but you can still do it that way. And of course, if you want to donate, I have PayPal and Venmo at codyrmcnutt@legislator.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, folks, if you're watching, make sure that you check him out, maybe even donate. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what the results are of this election and see how well you do. So good luck, good sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want you to tune in tomorrow. I'm going to have a pre-recorded episode. I interviewed the Libertarian gubernatorial candidate for the state of Alabama. And I apologize. I'm drawing a blank on his name at this moment. Nope. James Blake. That's it. James Blake. So the Libertarian candidate for Alabama, James Blake, I interviewed him in a pre-recorded episode. That'll be airing tomorrow morning. So check that out. Otherwise, that's all that I have. You can find other episodes at libertydad.com. That's going to be the audio version. It will link to all the different podcast places that you can find. You can also watch archived video episodes at youtube.libertydad.com. And you can connect with me at Liberty Dad on Facebook, Liberty Dad Pod on Twitter, or email. I'm also not so great at email, but I do my best. You can email me at libertydadpodcast@gmail.com because I would love to hear from you. And remember, if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. Catch you next time, and I'm out.